It's one thing to get what you want, and what shows you who you are is what you're unwilling to do to get what you want. I find two things extremely useless. One of them being the question of who are you? And the second one being the question and the practice of developing a future self. Those practices are very common. They're very much so taught in the manifestation, self-help industry world, the law of attraction world, telling you you're the author of your own life. You can create your own reality, that you are the being that is bringing your life into existence. Is that incorrect? No. Is it incomplete? Yes. Because the question of who are you, first of all, gets you trapped into a fixed state of identity. What did I write down? A future vision is useful. A future identity can become a trap. Not only are you chasing someone who doesn't exist, you think this future version, this idea of you, this defined, definitive essence of your being will give you what you want, will fix all of the things in your life that you don't like right now, that will transform your reality magically without any effort from you, or little effort from you. It's this lie of trying to compile an ideal version of yourself while not meeting the version of you who's present right now. Because who are you? I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question. Not because I don't know who I am, but because how could I ever conjure a definition for something so abstract? I wrote this in my paper, and you can probably find it in my description down below, of I have no intention to be any defined thing. I'm a very malleable person, and everyone are very malleable people. Our identities can never be constricted into labels or characteristics, roles, or job titles. They can only be understood through explaining your experience, contextualizing what you're obsessed with, sharing your values, your morals, your visions, your dreams, what you're creating right now, what you're focusing on right now. What's the aim you have for yourself this year? What is a part of yourself that you've left behind that you've learned from? What experiences have stuck with you through your life? All of those are much more important because they show who you are by showing who you've been and how that has transformed your personhood into the present day. I cannot say this person is the person that has X, Y, and Z because I've never met them. So that will all be a projection of everything that I think will be fixed about me right now. And when I continuously am met with versions of myself that I project into existence that I've never met, I keep making up things based on the things that exist within me that I don't like, that I would prefer not to be there, that I'm not still wounded by, experiences that I had that I wish I didn't have. That's what this future ideal version of myself would be. Experienced those things that caused me pain. An ideal version of myself would have done this, blah, 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 blah. But when you do character work in writing books or making movies or anything that you have to formulate a story, you understand where the character is oriented. Where are they? Not who are you, where are you? Where are you in your life? Where are you in your story? Where are you in your emotional journey? Where are you in your mental journey? Where are you in your spiritual journey? Where are you in your health journey? Where are you in your learning journey? Where are you in your religious journey? Where are you navigating through life? Where are you? Because the person that was over there is not the same person that's going to be over there, and is not going to be the same person that's over there. Because orientation, environment is such a large part of our existence, because who we are is only relative to that. Who we are is only relative to the experiences that we have and the point of view and perspective and lens that has created. There's such a desire to escape this life that we don't like, and a desire to escape the parts of ourselves that we were told to feel ashamed about, that we've repressed, that we've separated ourselves from, the parts of us that are deeply wounded because we no longer want to feel it, because we no longer want to think about it, because we no longer want it to be there. But that's part of the connection. That's part of the story of your life. It's like, where was I then? and what version of myself was present then. And most importantly is, what choices do you make? Because you can claim to be whatever. You can claim to value whatever. You can claim to dream about, to have intentions for, but the choices you make and the lens you see life through make who you are in every moment. In every moment of the story, the character can become a different version of himself, and that's the most interesting part of the story, is seeing the characters change. Like, I can go through so many books and I can always see like the majority of the reasons why the book is not liked or the movie is not liked is because this character had no depth. The character was flat. They did not change. They were stale. They did not go through anything. They did not feel real. They did not feel alive, because characters have to feel like they come from something. A story always begins with a place, that in a location and an orientation of life and self that is undesired, and then we want to desire. But screenwriters, playwriters, novelists like myself do not start from the end. We start from where are they now, and then we say, where do we want them to be, and where do we want them to go, and what's the arc based on the story that's being written. A lot of like, because I always wonder, like, why did traditional manifestation scripting practices not work for me? The affirmations, the curating some ideal version of myself. I did them. I've read so many of them. I've studied so many of them. I've been in courses. I've been in classes. I've been in retreats. You can't move when you don't know where you are. You can't go forward on the map if you can't point to, this is where I am. You are here. You are here. Now, where do you go? Those are the choices that you make. Where do you go? Where do you go from here? Which direction are you going? And more importantly, which one do you want to go first, and why? We have to stop chasing people that don't exist. We have to stop chasing this version of ourselves that we have never met, and instead meet the person that's here. What have I learned? What have I done? What have I experienced? What have I expressed? What have I repressed? What am I oppressed by? What do I feel constricted by? What do I feel blocked by? What do I value? What is the intent and the motive that's moving me through life? I have this desire, but what's the intent behind the desire? What's the why behind the desire? What's the connective tissue through my life about this desire? What is my soul intention in the overarching story of my whole life? What is the intention that always directed my choices? So how do you become the author of your own life without turning yourself into another project or another thing to fix? As I've realized the issue, I'm looking through my notes. I've realized the issue is not that we are unaware of our wounds, of our fears, of our traumas, of our circumstances in life, of our desires even. Well, that's up in the air. But there's a disconnect between awareness and action. And I mean action in the sense of where the guardrails of your life, and I'll probably make a different video about that, about the things you refuse to engage in. Because again, this is choices. Now, your choices say a lot about who you are more than anything else. And so your choices are always moved by what you truly value. It's one thing to get what you want, and what shows you who you are is what you're unwilling to do to get what you want. What you refuse to do, what you don't care about, what you don't want to engage in, what you don't want to participate in, what you don't want to repeat, what just doesn't interest you, what's not curious for you right now. Say so much about who you are and your path here. That's a much better question than carving your future self is, what's my path here? What path am I traveling and navigating? I find it such a useless question. And this idea came to me because someone asked me who I was, and I was like, I literally don't know how to answer that question because I don't see myself through a fixed reality of myself. Because I'm a different person when I've had coffee versus when I haven't had coffee, when I've had enough sleep versus when I haven't had enough sleep. I was a different person yesterday than I am today because of the realization that I had, so I don't know how to answer that question. But it would be a much more useful question to ask me this, or my intention in life, my number one driver in life. Oh my goodness, it's getting so dark. My number one driver in life is to discover all that I'm capable of and all that the potential that's available to me, and the quality of my consciousness and the texture of it, so to say. That's my intention. And anything I do and anything that I move through, any parts of my life, any facets that I encounter, that's always coloring my choices, because I always want to discover what I'm fully capable of, the totality of what I'm capable of, the totality of what's meaningful for me, what I want to explore. And that is a version of myself that did not exist before. So if I would have asked the person who was doing all of those scripting exercises, doing those courses, doing those seminars, seminars, all of those things. This version of myself is not the person that I described. It's not the way I look. It's not the choices that I make. It's not the things that I'm doing. None of who this being is a person that I've described, because that person I described is not somebody I met yet. I didn't know the choices that I was gonna make. I was only seeing myself through this fixed view of what I thought I needed to be to have X, Y, and Z. And I don't really know what the point of this. I mean, I do know the point, but I just want to, because I've been thinking about it. See, I'm tripping over my words. I've been thinking about it for weeks, of this idea of I have no intention to identify myself. And even through that, I'm very consistent, because what drives me in the direction has always been the same. That's the connective tissue, no matter how it expresses or manifests into the world. Because if I say that I'm funny, then I have to perform funniness. If I say that I'm spiritual, then I have to perform this version of spiritualness. People have connotations on what these characteristics means, on what this label looks like, on what I shoulda do, or what this role is, what, like, people would identify me as my identity as a black woman, queer black woman, whatever. That's your perception of me. That's the categories that you need to put me in to understand me better. But that's not the connection that I make to myself. Like, I have no hold or attachment to that. I have no internalization of what that needs to mean, or what I need to perform, because I have not classified myself in that. I classify myself by my choices and how I choose to experience the things that I'm doing, and how I participate in the life around me, and by the actions I take despite fear, and then me asking what I value. And are my choices aligning with what I say I value? If I'm asking myself what I want, and I'm saying, am my choices aligning with what I say I want? Now, what I think I want, what I actually desire at the core of my being, in the crevices of my soul. Oh, my camera's about to die. Let me hurry up. But even as children, we're asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? Who do you want to be like when you grow up? And we're never just asked what interests you right now. What are you obsessed with right now? What do you think about all the time? What do you dream about? What do you make when no one's watching you? What fascinates you? Identity asks, who are you? The future person, the future ideal self asks, who will you become? Yet when you ask yourself these present questions, you orient yourself on where you are right now. And that orientation, that presence, is what will prevent you from being lost. It's what allows you to continue onto this path and become that future version of yourself without having to hyperfixate on it. You don't have to force that at all. And I guess I'm saying this because I want more people to understand and be oriented in where they are right now. Because we can't move forward as a collective if we're all avoiding the present moment. If we're only focusing on the problems and not focusing on the choices that we're making that are perpetuating those problems, both in our lives and in the world at large. And mostly just stop chasing shit that doesn't exist and create what you want to see. Yeah, my camera's about to die. So I'll end it on that note. See you in my next video.